Since the beginning of the Raise project, we've actually promised to develop a tenting component with the Raise. We've always thought of it as an add-on component, separate from the keyboard, but compatible with all Raise versions. Why separate? Well, having the underglow and tenting wasn't possible because of how the underglow takes up all the space inside the keyboard. So with the tenting kit as an add-on, you can simply attach it or detach it to the base. We've been developing the tenting kit for more than a year now. It's had its ups and downs, and this is the story of its development. It started around February 2020 when we began conceptualizing different tenting solutions. There are 3 attributes that we focused on. First, functionality. The tenting component needs to be detachable and adjustable. We want it to have multiple angles for the user. We also want users to have an easy time mounting and unmounting it without compromising its durability. This leads us to the second characteristic, stability. The tenting kit has to be robust and stable. Not only should the design ensure that, but also the quality of the materials. We want it to have the same quality as the Raise. And this brings us to the last characteristic, aesthetics. The aesthetics of the tenting component has to look beautiful. It was really important for us to find the balance between these 3 things, but it was also very difficult. The main challenge was to get a reliable and stable tenting system that could have multiple angles from 10 to 40 degrees. As of now, the tenting kits available in the market only allow 15 degrees or so. Or you can get an add-on from Kinesis, I think, that reaches 90 degrees, but that's like too much, maybe for the majority of people. We explored many design concepts. The first was having adjustable metal bars at the base with different angles. We then explored the idea of having adjustable metal feet. However, with these 2 concepts, the stability and the aesthetic requirements weren't achieved. So we moved on to a third concept, which involved metal slates and was actually inspired by one of our users who posted this photo of his Raise on bookends on Reddit. With the third concept, we found that the tenting was more stable. So we started developing that design, but the development was cut short. This led to another challenge that was somewhat unexpected, the cost. By May 2020, we had decided to only produce between 50 to 100 units. At that time, there was not a huge demand for the tenting kit. And if you know how large-scale manufacturing works, you'd know that producing something that few will be at a greater cost. Something as simple as anodizing a metal piece becomes very expensive when it's for less than 1,000 units. So we had to divert to a simpler design, metal legs. These metal legs will be attached to a panel that has the shape of the Raise. Although it was a simpler option, it had one drawback. It could only allow 10 degrees and 20 degrees, so it didn't meet the functionality that we wanted. But what was interesting about this design was that we explored the idea of allowing users to create their own tenting feet. Our plan was to design this in a way where we can upload files of the longer legs, and users can simply 3D print them and use them if they prefer their tenting to be higher. Months later, and after testing different prototypes with suppliers, we realized that this solution just wasn't good enough. So on to the next design, the Lego design. The idea of this design came from, you guessed it, Lego blocks. With this design, the user can stack multiple blocks to create the desired tenting angle. We actually loved this design because it was easy to adjust and allowed up to 50 degrees of tenting. But after speaking with a consultant specialized in this kind of plastic piece, he informed us that this was technically very difficult to produce. So on to the next design. But this next design started to have the mechanism that we were looking for. It involved a metal sliding mechanism and rails. With this design, users will be able to adjust the angle by sliding the top metal piece and screwing it to the bottom piece. At this point of the development, we had received many more people signing up in the Raise tenting kit waiting list. So we decided to produce 300 units. Oh, if you want to sign up in the Raise tenting waiting list, you can find the link in the description below. After testing the rails prototype, we came to the conclusion that the adjustment of the angles just wasn't smooth or stable. Allowing the axle to slide along the rails gave more angle options in increments of 5. However, there were 3 main issues with this particular design. 1, It was difficult to have all the legs be in the same position. 2. Sliding the axle on rails meant that if enough pressure was applied onto the keyboard, the axle could slide out of position or bend the metal leg. And 3. The sliding motion meant that the metal parts would be rubbing against each other and could shorten the lifespan of the product. We had to create an adjustable system that was sturdy and easy to set up. So this led to our latest, last, and final design.
Hi, I'm Jose Cuñat. I'm industrial designer at Dygma. I am the lead designer of the tenting kit. The first big challenge, it was understanding how the structure of the tenting works, mainly because with the different parts the tenting is with. If you move one of them slightly, it changes dramatically depending on the position where it's located. One of the big challenges was to understand which is the right precision for the different parts and to reduce the clearances we had. When you want to assemble it with your keyboard, you just need to use the 10 screws that are included and the screwdriver that is included as well. You screw through these holes here. It's really straightforward to use. This is the angle selector. It goes from 10, 20, 30 and 40 degrees. You have to think that this is 1 millimeter thick metal sheet. It's steel and this is quite strong. Even if you bend it a little bit, it's resilient and it will go back to normal. So this is not something that can break. The ABS is really strong and for example in the 10 degrees angle, if you press really hard, I think it could pop out. Maybe not. It won't be easily destroyed, but everything is replaceable. The only part that you cannot disassemble is the legs, that the silicone is stick on it, but the rest are just the spare parts. With packaging and everything, it weighs around 750 grams. The tenting by itself is around half a kilo.
We will be manufacturing 500 units of the tenting kits. And don't worry, there will be a white version as well. I hope this development story wasn't too intense. I had to say it. They made me say it. What do you guys think about the tenting design? We'd love to hear your thoughts about it. And of course, if you're interested, don't forget to write your name in the waiting list found in the link in the description below.